live. All righty. Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys. Yeah, I didn't, like I said, I didn't do a heck of a lot of preparation this week, and I'm just going with it. A good thing I did, though, just before starting the live stream, and I hope it will help me out, is because I did notice it often, anyways. I keep missing things I would like to chat about. And it's usually I notice it after when I go and take a look at what I've got listed in the live stream description in the sources and links. And I was like, oh, darn it. So this time at least I decided to print it off. So that way at least I can go maybe go at it one at a time. And maybe that's the best way to go about it. Oh, good morning, Meandering Mike. And I guess I should already say good morning to Charles Latora, since Charles Latora had already started commenting earlier. So I think that may be a good idea for me to do. In an odd way, I think there's going to be quite a bit of gaming talk, more than strictly World War I type talk, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I'm not saying it's because I didn't do a lot of prep work this week. It's just interesting the way things kind of connected yet again. One of the neato things, I'll get to it again. Like I said, the good thing is I did print off my sources and links from the live stream description. So hopefully I'll use that for to keep me guided. But the interesting thing was, like I was saying, I want to start doing is like a random game of the week thing, and it's I think when I did the advanced search in Board Game Geek BGG, I think it gave me, oh darn it, 13 pages of 100 selections each or something like that. So I've just been randomly going that way. And this week, interestingly enough, it reminded me, well, of it's published by Warp Spawn Games. I was like, wait a minute, I remember that name. And I was like, oh my God, that's that link that I found years and years and years and years ago. That's basically just a bunch of free, and you print them off yourself kind of thing. Way before, as far as I know, War Game. I may be completely wrong about that, but way before War Game Vault and all that stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I think it was like by Lloyd Krassner or something. We're going to look it up, anyways. Then. It's the game we're going to see is Fixed Bayonets, and it's based on, I guess, in the Argonne Forest with the Lost Battalion. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the movie I just finished watching a little over a week ago, which was recommended to me by Meandering Mike and so on and so forth. So I was like, oh, this is pretty neat. And then so I went to the Warp Spawn Games website. So we'll go take a look at that, hopefully a little bit. And then it's also, all those games are free. That's the beauty of it. And then I'll also show you another place that is, because I purchased that Ross's Rifles RPG book thing at Can Games, and we'll go to that link. Anyways, I subscribe to their newsletter now, and they sent me a newsletter this week saying, hey, here's some free PDFs that you can get. And there's also some PDF only rule books if you want them, and here's $5 off coupon or something like that. So I'll share it with you, and off we'll go take a look at that later. But let's go to the History Heroes trivia thing. And I am wearing this on for a couple of reasons. Well, one, because Meandering Mike in his playthroughs, and I mentioned before, I didn't clue in at how important cavalry is, and I was throwing them around. I was just throwing them away. I didn't understand the value of them when I was first starting to play Der Weltkrieg. And then, later on, it bit me in the ass, basically. And I decided I wanted to make a T-shirt to remind me in an ironic way of how important it is. Anyways, on a side note, I don't know if it was last night or this morning or whatever, but I was watching and listening to a lecture on Lawrence of Arabia and the raid on the Hejaz Railway. And they mentioned just constantly we're talking about cavalry and so on and so forth. And then, and on a side note, I am going to mention this because I thought, wow, this is so nice. And it's a good, I'm not like I said, I'm not comparing me to that, but it's a good reminder of how it's nice to see humility in people or whatever. So some questions come up to the prof afterwards on the lecture. And I think somebody asked, do you have any books that you could recommend on the Egyptian Expeditionary Force, which I'd never heard about before, the EEF? That sounds so cool. And the prof said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not an expert on the Egyptian Expeditionary Force. I wish I was. If you want me to recommend you a book on the Hejaz Railway or T. Lawrence, I'm your man. But I was like, wow. So, and then he was like, so I hope, he said afterwards, I hope there's somebody in the audience. It was a Zoom thing or whatever. I hope that, somebody in the audience can help out with this person, which they did, which I thought, anyways, on the side note, I was just like, wow, it's kind of neat to see. Like I just always assume like a lot of these people are, are trying to protect or whatever. I was like, wow, it's just nice to see like genuine, I'm out to help you out and this is all I can do you with kind of thing. So let's go to the History Heroes thing. I will say this, though. It blew me away after last week. I'm just going to be honest with you, Charles Latora. I thought for sure, even I was still pretty surprised that William Arends has been slugging it out kind of thing with Meandering Mike with the trivia. Because I thought at the beginning, I'm okay, yes, I understand William Arends wasn't participating right off from the get-go. But Meandering Mike looked like he was just taking off with it. I was like, it's impossibility somebody's going to catch up to you. However, Charles Latora, you're only 6 points away now from William Arends, which means if he doesn't guess and you guess and get it right, I think you get 7 points for one guess, and then whatever. I usually give you 7 points, and then on top of extra whatever's and William Arends is only 4 points behind Meandering Mike. So I'm like, this is pretty cool. Anyways, let's go to the History Heroes trivia thing. Inadvertently, when the answer does come out, you're going to clue in that it's about a person. And we saw a picture of that person last week, but I didn't know who that person was. And I just said, oh, it's some whatever with these 2 other people. So when we get to the answer part, I'll go. I'm going to hopefully pop up that picture as well. Like I said, I'll use the my links, sources and links thing to hopefully keep me on track. And like I said, I'll just tell you what I've been up to this week as well. I will say on a side note, since we Meandering Mike mentioned the Easter egg thing on the map, and he's mentioned it. I've mentioned it repeatedly. There's a zillion other people that have mentioned it. Yeah, and I know I've also was one of the original people that was that way, in the sense of, God Almighty, it's got to be one of the most disgusting looking maps on the planet or ever existed. Are the Weltkrieg maps? They're just ridiculous looking, but it's almost like watching trying to use those old 3D glasses from the 50s. Once you get it kind of thing. And now I'm like, and it just also, over time I've just been absolutely astounded. I would love to have seen or find out how they were created, like how decided, okay, we're going to put a swamp hex here or half. Just sometimes it just seems almost uncanny. For me anyways, I'm just absolutely astounded. And then to find yesterday, like I said, when I was making that video and I was putting up those little counters, I wasn't even considering actually crossing the river. When I was like, okay, maybe this is probably the broken area that they were talking about. And I was like, okay, maybe, I wanted to show to you guys going, okay, this is maybe where I'm going to, make a fake or make a new railroad. And then to see those tiny white lines, and like even Wardrobe plays World War II was mentioning, what and now I'm thinking we're saying with Meandering Mike mentioning the Easter egg thing. I'm thinking, holy smokes, what other? Okay, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read the whole Osmanli Harbi rule, so it could have mentioned, oh, by the way, look for these little white lines. It could even be in the train key. I don't care. Regardless, to be able to get to that level of just wowzers. Anyways, let's go to the first thing. I'll pop in the since I've already popped in the thing here. The first hold on, let me get to the Please let me know what you're up to too, game-wise. I know that Charles Latora has got that amazing. Oh my God! I love seeing so much. It's just because there's so many micro whatever's going on his miniature game. That's it. Just you know what I mean. There's like the possibility of just so many narratives just blows me away. And it would be, I don't know what else. I guess with Meandering Mike, with the amount of stuff you're doing, you probably, and with the playthrough of Weltkrieg, it probably requires a fair amount of mental focus. I didn't put it in here, so I'm going to show it. There we go. And then I'll pop it into the comments. So the first clue is, I stuck resolutely to my belief that the war could only be won on the Western Front. So there's your first clue for who this person is. And remember what I said, you just get 1 point even for guessing, for goodness sakes. So no big deal there. So anyways, let's go on. I'm going to go and start with my sources and links. And in a weird way, I guess you could too, if you go to look down in the whatevers. And I'll, the thing is, I guess eventually I'm going to have to start putting these in alphabetical order or something like that. But so let's go maybe to the first, why not? Let's go to Fix Bayonets. Thingamajig. So I'm going to go and grab my live stream thing and make sure I've got the yeah, I'm glad I took a look at it quickly. I was like, God, you're batting 1,000 here, Chris, for figuring out. Oh, it's already here. Excellent. I didn't realize I'd already popped it on. Hold on. So present, share the screen, Fix Bayonets. There. So, and there we go. And you guys can see it. Good. And it'll take me off completely. I don't need this. There we go. And so, yeah, that's the designer, Lloyd Krassner. And I don't know. I'm assuming this must be some generic name. I don't know because I can't imagine Lloyd Krassner designing so many freaking games. If you go to the it's like Angelfire whatever website for Warp Spawn games. Let's go to the images. There's not a heck of a lot, but ooh, they look nice. And please let me know if oh my, nice. And yet again, all these games are free. This is what I think is totally neat. So there's some. No, it didn't show much. Geez, I hate it when it does that. Drives me up the tree. Is that it? I thought there was a. Oh, it's just the cover. Okay. Let's go back to this. And it was also. Please let me know if you can. I don't know if you tab them out. There we go. Meandering Mike says Von Schlieffen. You're going to get 1 point. So now you're 5 points ahead of William Arends, but no, you're wrong. I'll get rid of that banner and pop up another one. Just trying to figure out. I don't want to. Let's go to this one, and then I'll grab the. Oops, I'll grab that comment. I insisted on breaking through the Hindenburg line in 1918, a significant Allied victory. All right. I'm going to go to comments. I'll hit paste. Yo, by the way, we're up to, can remember last week, John Longshore mentioned, where the heck is Calandale in his playthrough? And I checked for this upcoming video if we're not. So it's July 1917. I think we had already mentioned last week. I think I said 1917, I think shortly after John Longshore clued in, probably from listening to Calandale talk or whatever. I was like, oops, but oh well. So, okay, I've popped those two clues in. Like I said, we've gone to the thing now. You can still see it. Damn you to hell, Meandering Mike. Yes, you got it. Jesus, Murphy, man. That was fast. Holy smokes. There goes all the I'll put on the rest of the banners. I won't do it in the comments section. I'll just read them out. Well done. Holy smokes. Let me go to the banners and then I'll put well, actually, no, what I'll do is I'll go to the picture. That makes much more sense. Let me stop the screen. Oh wow, that was fast. Jeez. All right. Man. Yeah, you guys are good. I don't care what I think you guys are amazing. Just impressive. I mean, I'm not being whatever. I'm like, because I would be, trust me, I'd be in last place if I had to be on the flip side. I'm sure of that. So hold on, let's present share screen window. There we go. So here's the Douglas Haig, and I'll bring her down. I got to take a look and see what you see. Okay. Right. Okay. So I'll bring her down even more, and then we can take a look at all. I'll hide this bit. So, and then we'll take a look at what it says here. So, number one, he was the Field Marshal and Commander-in-Chief of the British Expeditionary Force from 1915. Some called me Butcher because of the 2 million deaths of British soldiers. 3, I stuck resolutely to my belief that the war could only be won on the Western Front. 4, I led the Somme offensive in 1916 to break the stalemate of war on the front. 5, I pushed forward at Passchendaele, Ypres in 1917 with heavy casualties. 6, I insisted on breaking through the Hindenburg Line in 1918, a significant Allied victory. And I set up the Poppy Fund in the 1920s to help ex-soldiers. Now, let's see if I can show you who I think this must have been Douglas Haig. So, well, we know. Nope, sorry. I got the wrong one here. There we go. So I think Douglas Haig is the guy on the right. And I don't remember. I think I remember last week I was saying, I don't know who the hell he is. And that's, who else could it be, for goodness sakes? I can't really see who else it would be. So there we go. Well done, Meandering Mike. So that's that. I'll get rid of the banners. So I'm starting to clue into that. And we'll go back to the, I'll present the Microsoft Edge tab again, because I wanted to go to the, where it says here, Warp Skirmish, the series Warp Skirmish. So there's all kinds of linked games for this. And I thought maybe you guys would be, somewhat interested in taking a look. And like I said, if you go, I've got it in the sources and links in my live stream description thing. So if you wanted to go to the Warp Spawn Games thing and get them, straight from the horse's mouth kind of thing. But there we go. There's a lot of, I don't know if any of these are good or not. I've had a few that I've played way back when. I think mostly, I'll be honest with you, I think, no, there's fixed bayonets. I think for the most part, it was mostly, oh my God, He-Man, interest's sake, and also, yet again, to steal stuff from other people. Sorry to say, but it's one thing I like to do, I guess. So anyways, there's one. I also wanted to go now. Let's go to the next, that place I was telling you about. The let me go. I got to get to the. I'll get rid of the Douglas Haig stuff, and then I wanted to show the. Oh, darn it! Here, where are you? Please. There it is. Compose Dream Games. So this is that part of that newsletter I was telling you about. So I'm just going to grab the link. I'll put it in here. We'll hit the return key. And hopefully you guys see that. Good. So anyways, these are all free or pay what you want games. And I don't know if any of those are of interest to you, but there you go. I in the sources and links thing, I've also got here. I'll put it in the comments section as well. Hold on. The coupon code if you want to get $5 off any titles that are only available in PDF format. So I'll put that in here. There you go. All right. So that's that. I've got that one done. And now I'm going to now we're going to go off to the Osprey book, the Osprey website. And if you wanted to pre-order one of their books called The Kaiser's Challenge to the Royal Navy, I do believe. Hold on, I'll put that in, since I'm sure you and myself and a lot of other people hey, go away, you. Oh, there we are. All right. So I thought maybe you guys would also want to take a look at that. Some of you guys anyway. So I guess you can pre-order it or whatever. There it says a superbly illustrated new account of how Germany's high seas fleet was built, operated, and fought as it challenged the world's most powerful navy in World War I. So there you go. And like I said, that's just go off. You go to the Osprey thing. So I've got that one done. Okay. So, oh yeah, and that was well, we'll eventually get to it. Oh yes, I do want to show you this. There's an excellent possibility that I'll be going to this in a couple of weeks. I think I'd already mentioned it to you before. And that's the War Games exhibit that's going to be at the Canadian War Museum. So there we go. Goody. So you can see that. And this looks rather, they've got added a lot more to the website. I can tell you that much, because I didn't see this bit originally. This the timely and relevant exhibition will have multi-generational appeal. We hope War Games broadens visitors' understanding of what war games are and what helps them see wargaming is both a popular hobby and a professional activity with real-world impact. And there you can see it's got some more stuff there. And I did, let's see if I can, hold on. If you want, they also have a book that you can buy. I was rather surprised. It didn't seem rather expensive. I don't know how good the book is. I haven't gone to the place yet. But it was nice to see that you can just purchase it online if you wanted to. So there you go. Yeah, it's only $10 Canadian, for goodness sakes. And 120 pages, 63 illustrations. Doesn't seem too bad. All right. Hold on. I'm going to go back to you guys. Meandering Mike says, someone posted on Facebook last night a link to this exhibit showing one of the GMT coin games. Cool. Thanks, Meandering Mike. That's awesome. Yeah, I know that a couple of people that I know are going in a couple of weeks, and they asked me if I wanted to. Here, I'll put me a little tiny bit. And they asked me if I wanted to go. The ironic thing was I didn't realize that they were talking about the War Games exhibit. I've just been so fixated on the used bookstore. So I thought they were actually talking about the used bookstore, and I was like, I was thinking to myself, gosh, I hope these guys know how small this used bookstore is, because we're going to have to be like side by side staring at the books. And then one of them is like, what are you talking about? We're talking about the War Game exhibit. I was like, oh, okay. I flew it in now. What else did I want to yabber on about a little? So yeah, let's go to the TA, because it will bring us to another game, which would be kind of neat. And a couple of movies, if you guys are interested in seeing. So this is going to be the Lawrence of Arabia thing that I was reading up or watching last night. I do want to I'll just show you hold on here. So this is for the World War I Museum and Memorial, one of their things. So there you can see that, I hope. Yeah. Charles Latora says the High Seas book would go well with Compass High Seas Fleet game. Oh yeah, you're darn right it would. So anyways, that's one of the lectures that just came out. Oh gosh, I haven't watched it yet. Here, but they've got the Lawrence of Arabia lecture series. But the Western Front Association also has some stuff, and that's what I watched last night or this morning or whatever, and it's by Jim Tanner, and it's about Lawrence and the Arab revolt, and it was I found it really. I'm gonna listen, watch and listen to it again. So there's a shot of it, or the beginning bits we can see here. I'll just go quickly through a couple of the notes that I took about it. Anyways, I'll just rabber on very quickly. I didn't know there was the formal alliance between the Ottoman Empire and Germany was not signed until the 1st of August, 1914. And then 2 days later, though, the Ottoman Empire declared neutrality. The Kingdom of Hejaz, because this is this whole thing about here around I didn't this is all, like I said, all new stuff for me, man. Kingdom of Hejaz was from 1916 to 1923. The Ottoman Empire was essentially bankrupt at the beginning of the war, or right at just at I guess at the beginning of the 20th century, and they said they had numerous problems completing railways, and certainly were like thumbs up to getting German gold and whatnot. So that certainly seemed to have helped sway them, from what I've been reading and listening to. The Damascus to Medina Railway was built inland and followed ancient trade routes, and they eventually wanted to get it all the way down to Mecca, I do believe. And maybe that's the thing I saw in one of the, or I popped in one of the posts there with Meandering. Meandering Mike also mentioned it when he was like, "Oh, it's great to see a full extent of the Ottoman Empire's reach, and what control they had, and this strategic rail going all the way down to Mecca." Anyways, and also yet again, I think Charles Latora was mentioning, as well as Meandering Mike, about what kind of difficulties would occur trying to construct a railroad in this type of climate. And yet again, the person. What's his name there? Jim Tanner was mentioning. That's the person who, by the way, I was saying, he said, "No, I'm not an expert on any of this, so I'm not even going to attempt to, give you an idea of, or give you recommendations on books, that type of stuff." But it was also not just the horrible, how hard it was to construct. They were talking about sleepers. I guess are those beams that go, I don't know what the sleeper is. Are they the beams that go sideways, or whatever? I don't know yet. But they said that in some parts of the railway, it was so intense, the heat, that it would split the wood. And so they couldn't use wooden sleepers. They had to use metal sleepers, which obviously increased the cost. Also that Turkish coal, the railroad, they were still using coal well into the First World War. They did not go towards oil. And the lecturer, Jim Tanner, was mentioning, he was, the irony that, here, maybe I should put on here just temporarily, so I don't know if I'm getting into copyright issues with the crap on the right-hand side there. And then I'll go back to that thing here. What was I going to say about? I'm getting sidetracked. Was about the intense heat. The Turkish coal wasn't. The irony was, he said, they didn't realize how much oil they had sitting under the Arabian area, like in their control or whatever, even though the Russians were already converting to oil and so on and so forth. They had to import coal from Wales, so obviously that went dry as soon as the war started. They're not. I mean, obviously the British are going to keep it for themselves, as well as it was like, well, we're not going to give it to the Ottomans anymore. So railway construction, it says, was so intense that military troops that did service constructing the railroad, and also if there was like a 4-year compulsory service, you got 1 year taken off. Also along in the Hejaz region there, they constantly had issues with raids and whatnot from certain tribes and whatnot. So the Ottomans had not only forts placed on certain spots, but they had tiny little like not like pseudo forts. I don't know what they would call, but it was like just a few people would be hanging out there, but it was just like a little protection area. But it was a constant whatever. On a side note, though, I did find, which I did think was interesting, because he was mentioning about Lawrence of Arabia was recorded for 9 railway attacks for sure. Like he was attributed to them, and also helped design the tulip form of detonation, which I guess was a way of certain way of exploding, and it would really screw up the railway and so it would make it extremely difficult or almost impossible for them to, like, I guess maybe just hammer back some of the railway ties or whatever. What was going to say? I'm probably getting yet again sidetracked. Is that it for the railway type of stuff? Maybe. Hold on here. Water. That was the other thing. And here's an interesting thing I thought was about the Hejaz Railway. It remained open though throughout the entire war. The Ottomans were able to constantly repair the railway and so on and so forth. Maybe it's from practice from all the raids beforehand, but I mean that's pretty darn impressive considering all the whatevers. I'll show you a couple of the links to the trailers to some of the movies, because at the very end he mentions where someone puts in a comment, I don't know how, I don't have any links for books, but if you want to find any or see some film footage about, indirectly in a way, of the Egyptian Expeditionary Force, here's 2 films. One of them is called 40,000 Horsemen. I do believe it was I'll look it up. I think it was a 1940 Australian film. They're both Australian films. And the other one is The Lone Horseman or something like that. We'll look them up in a minute. And that's a 1987 film from Australia. And I think one of them you can get free off of YouTube. And the other one, I mean, you probably have to pay a pittance or something like that. But I think we're allowed to kind of show a little tiny bit of the trailer. We'll do that maybe and see what happens. But water, yet again, was an extremely important part of it. On a side note, which was kind of neat, I thought was Jim Tanner mentions in the lecture that there was a Arab prophecy or whatever that Jerusalem would not fall until like the Ottomans would not leave Jerusalem until a son of God brought water from the Nile to Palestine. And in an irony, and then we'll go to another game in a minute. Allenby's Blitzkrieg, which is a Peter Schultze game. Meandering might I think has a few copies of that person's those games. So Allenby, who was brought from the Western Front over into Palestine area to direct things. One of his first things was to try to increase the logistical support and whatnot for the armies up near the fronts. And one of the first things he did was construct a water pipeline from the Nile all the way to there. I mean, obviously he didn't know, but it's just kind of neat to think that, and then lo and behold, I mean, in a little while, the British forces are going to be there. But yet again, this is like just freshly baked stuff in my head. So don't, whatever. But I would like to, I'll show you the trailers and then we'll go to the Allenby thing. I think that would be kind of cool. Oh my God. And then it was the other thing I was mentioning in one of my previous posts there in the video when I was looking at the Ottoman map there for Osmanli Harbi. And I was like, what is this town Aqaba down there? Is that like part of Egypt or part of the Ottoman Empire? Then I looked up, and then that was the town of that T. Lawrence raided with the Arabs over. And on July 6, 1917, the taking of Aqaba, and it became the logistical HQ for the offensive towards Palestine. And so I thought that was pretty neat. What else? I would love to find some pictures. I tried to look them up, but it's still pretty darn early for me. The Desert Mountain Corps They were instrumental in taking Gaza on the third attempt. And I think the Desert Mountain Corps is those horsemen. I'm not sure, but I still have to look. And like I said, we'll quickly go to the trailers, and I'll show you what I mean. Oh yeah, that was the other thing about the water thing. So it wasn't obviously just about being able to drink and so on and so forth, and the massive heat and so on, whatever. Was that some of those areas were, and Meandering Mike was mentioning it too in one of my previous posts in the comments section about, oh boy, what kind of, that must have been difficult to try to build railroads through the floodplains. And yep, sure enough, he was talking about, he was like, it didn't happen very often in this other spot, like where they don't have floodplain listed over here. On that part of the map near Palestine and the Weltkrieg thing. But he was saying it doesn't happen very often, Jim Tanner was saying. But when it does, Meandering Mike says, the Aqaba assault is one of the best parts of Lawrence of Arabia. Thanks for mentioning Meandering Mike. And like I said, I think I only saw like a tiny little bit of that film. And yet again, I watched this tiny bit, and he actually has this part. I guess that's the... I was on a side note. I got to find out about one of the failed attempts. I don't know where this was, but there were some. I guess you would know obviously more about it than I do. I can't even remember the guy's name. One of the brothers or sons of the Sultan, I do believe, wasn't able to get his force over, and there was a failed attempt at whatever place, but. Supposedly, T. Lawrence got almost severely injured or almost killed. He was less than 50 yards away from a detonation that he set off and whatever, and was like, whatever. Okay, so we'll go quickly to the trailers. Then we'll go to Allenby's Blitzkrieg to take you a quickie look at potentially what this part of those two trailer things and also part of the T. Lawrence thing. And potentially this is part of that. What I would love to find out about is the Desert Mountain Corps. Also, here's another side thing I keep forgetting to mention. Well, two things. Meandering Mike had yet again said in one of my comments in a previous post when I was talking about trying to figure out a number, and yet I know it's just a reference number, but because I want to convert things lots of times when you hear about like 500,000 troops or 500,000 casualties. Occurred in this month, in the Gorlitz Tarnów breakthrough. Well, for me, I want to convert that into strength points for Weltkrieg. What the hell does that mean? So I can, get, like Fahrenheit to Celsius kind of thing. And so I've been going with the 18,000 for division, and Meandering Mike had mentioned 17,500 for the British. And yes, I had seen that number before as well. And it's probably far more accurate than the 18,000, just due to the fact, as you and I know, and everybody else knows, as time goes on. That was a side note with Hotzendorf, I think was one of his criticisms. He was always mentioning or looking down at a map or looking at numbers and always, this is the 5th Division. He always would assume full size. And as time goes by, well, that's not the case. I mean, sometimes, you're right down to a brigade or whatever. I'm going to stick with the 18,000, just due to the fact, it's easy numbers in the long run. And then we're also going to stick with the 4 strength points for a division. So that'll be, kind of like, just think about it as like, I'm looking at it as like 4 regiments, 2 brigades. We'll go with that. And so, and we'll just, so that we'll start with, that'll be one thing. Was that the thing I wanted to mention about numbers wise? Maybe. Probably. Oh yeah, let's go to the trailers here. Hold on. The first one's called the Light Horseman movie, and that's from 1987. And like I said, this is in the section. We'll just put a quickie. I don't want to get into trouble. You guys can see that. Good. I don't want you to see it maybe too big. There. That looks pretty darn cool. All right. Then I'll show the next one. And then we'll go to the Allenby thing. Oops. I did the wrong thing. And this is it. Yep. All right. I'll put this a little bit bigger. Not seeing anything?
Oh. Just a few miles from Sydney, where Australia's most recent full-length film is nearing completion. The Arab village of El Arish, complete in every detail, was rebuilt for the film. Australian producers are showing skill in artifice and reproduction like their overseas rivals. Director Charles Chauvel, a pioneer of the local industry, brings Hollywood to Australia and Australia to Hollywood. For he and Mrs. Chauvel started Errol Flynn and Mary McGuire.
All right. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble doing that stuff. Thanks, Meandering Mike. I'll show you the next one then. The first one, which you guys didn't get to see. But I'm going to take a look. I'm hopefully going to zip off. Yeah, I just have to watch a tiny little bit more of the trench. I've got maybe another half an hour, I think, with the Daniel Craig one. Jesus, Murphy, man, that is freaking... Oof. There. And that's the Light Horseman, obviously the 1987 one. But anyways, hopefully you guys can, if you guys want to go and take a look at that. I'll get rid of that. There. All right. And oh yeah, I said like I wanted to take a quickie look to. I'll show you the Allenby's thingamajig. Allenby's Blitzkrieg, which I'm assuming is going to be. And I've got that upstairs, and I was looking at it. There. Present. All right. There. You guys can see that. Yeah, so this is it's I'm not it's I don't know and oh, that's right. Man, Mike was mentioning that to me about the fact that Blue Panther is now taking over perhaps the IP or whatever for what, but anyways, it's certainly publishing now this game. I have I guess the older version or whatever. It's just like a little plastic thingamajig, and it's got the here, we'll take a look. Oh gosh, I hate it. Like I said, it drives me up the tree when it's just, stop doing that, man. But that looks pretty nice. Actually, I took a look at it, and for what it is, I mean, my gosh, I thought the rule book and everything looked really, really nice. Oh, that's very nice. That whoever did that picture, M1 tanker, well done to be, putting a thing on the side for you to say, hey, by the way, like the way Charles Latora was mentioning, the fact that the Osprey book would go great with the High Seas Fleet Compass game. What else did I want to chit chat about? We've got 40. You know what? We do have enough time for the Calandale live stream. He's only about 15 minutes. So what do you think? I don't see why not. I'm trying to think of other stuff I wanted to keep. William Arends, great to see you. If late arrival today, it's super awesome to see you, William Arends. The only bad thing for you is Meandering Mike jumped several points ahead for you. Thank you, Meandering Mike. We'll go for it because, yeah, I'm trying to think of. So I've shown you the trailers. I showed you that this, that, and the other thing. The only other quickie thing I did want to talk about, and I got it on in the live stream on the description thing, is it is just such an enjoyable. It's only like 35 minutes for Christ's sakes. I'm telling you, man, I've listened to that interview, God, maybe close to 10 times now, and that's the Dr. Vanda Wilcox, Italian. I've got her here. We're gonna go super quick because I really it's expensive. There's no effing way I can afford the book. I would love to someday, because she's a really good, like I said, there's a really good banter between her and the real-time history person. Darn it, he's from Canada too, and now he lives in Austria. I can't remember his name. You'd know him because he's on the Great War Channel. It's just now a real-time history. So this, I just want to quickly show it to you. Her book. And that'll be that. And then we can go to Calandale. Anyways, William Arends, it's great to see you, obviously. And I hope you're doing good. And I don't know if you're getting the type of humidity we are, but it's pretty impressive. So there you go. Like I said, I can't afford her book, but I would certainly like to grab it. Also, this entire series, I think it's called Beyond the Great War or something like that, and it's trying to go, like they said, go get a bit beyond what you would normally see. And I think, yet again, connecting this with the World War I online encyclopedia, which also has seems to have that similar theme, or that focus of like, let's get it go a bit more regional and so on and so forth. Anyways, we're going to get rid of this guy. Get rid of this guy. We're going to go to that guy. We're going to get rid of this guy. I'm just going to so you guys can see. Goody. So now we're going to go to the live thing. I've got to mute me, and then we're going to watch. And there's not too many video ones left. And this is July 1917. Thank you again, Calandale. You for sure certainly got the ball rolling for this live stream series. Thank you so much. And I'm going to mute me and pop it on.
As we slide into June of 17, the Germans repositioning, but they found one thing. This hex, which the French had advanced into, they launched an attack there, no advance, drove them out, only did 4-3 in losses, but basically it's just trying to halt this, trying to make it harder for the French to get their grasp on there. That was just one short of breaking the French situation. So if the French lose another strength point, another demoralization point, they're going to lose replacement points coming up. But they do get their, if they had lost this 1 point, they wouldn't have gotten as many supplies this time, which could have significantly affected their ability to continue an attack, because they don't have that many. I'm not sure they want to continue. They've lost their entrenchment prospects in this space, for example. It's going to be a hard call. The English got another shot in the arm with the extra supplies. They were able to do a 2-hex attack with some French aid, artillery aid, to blast up to the Somme. I think the Germans have to withdraw. I think they have to pull out of them. The problem is, I don't see that working. I think the Germans will still be in retreat across the Somme after this. I think they're in trouble, but they cannot keep stretching their line. So far, they've been able to keep it pretty tight. They've been able to keep it reasonable here. But if this breaks, their line is going to stretch to ridiculous extents. So they have to focus more and more strength up in the north, push up, try to pull back to the Hindenburg line. I think it's the only answer here. So we're going to see a massive retreat and some fresh terrain, and the French will be able to push forward at no cost. So the decision to withdraw is made, but that doesn't make anything trivial immediately. The Germans had to pull out of this hex. Otherwise, they'd be abandoning whatever's there. They have to slowly fall back to the Hindenburg line. They can't just jump there. And that opened up what it looked like an opportunity for the French. They launched an attack on the hex, not terribly effective. And the Brits, being particularly bloody-minded, launched another out-of-supply attack, very little artillery supply added in, and against this hex, basically over here until after, it hasn't even started being dug in. So next month will be an available time as well. And they kind of, I think, overreached with the attack here. They took 15 to 11 losses and didn't dislodge anything. They weren't using their armor. No real advantages there. So they're not making it any harder on the Germans. They're hurting themselves on this, and that was probably foolish. But once I commit to an attack, I kind of go through with it, just as a matter of, geez, I've counted everything already. Fuck it. All right. So the Germans have pulled back to the Mew, or Moes. No, the Marne line. Sorry. Not all the way back to their Hindenburg line. They don't think they have to pull that back that far. They don't want to give up terrain that's unnecessary. There's a slight advantage to Hindenburg hexes, but they still see that as a fallback. So now enabled them to put some more strength into the line against the Brits. Nothing additional against the French, but they feel like they have them kind of hampered at this point, and they can direct more resources down that way. This line is a little weak because it isn't entrenched yet, but it's not terribly weak. With a +2 or a -2 bonus on them, they have as much of an advantage as trenches give. It's just not as strong a line as they abandoned, but it's somewhat smaller in frontage. That should be sufficient to help tremendously. And once they do dig in, it will be a stronger line. One of the issues with this game, for me, when I play the big strategic, say a Third Reich or a Whiff or something like that, it's just apparent to me that I can't hold something, right? This, because of the slower advances, the way things aren't going to be these major breakthroughs, it looks like, yeah, I can hold on a little harder. I don't have to pull back. This isn't a bad thing. This is World War I. But it was much more difficult for me to fall back in this than it would be in a World War II situation where the risks seem higher. Here, it's the risk of losing that one hex. That's what I'm giving up, right? Well, terrain doesn't matter, but it's the risk of the loss of manpower. And key locations. By strengthening this area a little bit, I'm hoping I can stop the Brits. I think the Allied offensive is largely going to be done. We'll see. The French have driven themselves over their limit, though, so they no longer have some artificial barrier. I'm expecting attacks over here and possibly in this range to see if they can push the Germans back further from Paris. And we actually see no follow-up, and most of this is because the terrain's so chewed up along the fronts, even over here in this area. It's just impossible to move stuff to the front quickly anymore until the rail lines are built. Now I'm building these rail lines back here, and you can see I must have succeeded because I have a railroad unit there. It's not absolutely clear to me, and I didn't want to look it up. I've been playing that you can kind of build the rail line and then rail units on it. That feels a little funny to me. I'd like to look that up, actually, because I think that feels like I'm cheating. So you have to be on an operative rail line under your control, but it doesn't really indicate that the entire rail line had to be operative. So unless I'm mistaken here, I don't think that there's any indication that you can't just build the rail line ahead of your unit. That feels a little goofy, and I might want to house rule that out of the way. But I've been playing with it. With it that way, the engineers become almost pointless. If you're clever enough to put your engineers at the front, which I never do, they can rebuild the track without much trouble in front of you. But there's also the rail limit to how many units can transport by rail. I do a significant amount of it. I haven't been keeping count anymore. I don't want to count on being able to rail up to necessarily every location, and I could not, no matter what, rail into areas where the enemy is present, nor could I move into those after railing. So, for the most part, one could kind of ignore the engineers in the rail building situation and just say, well, if I've got the rails there and they're kind of clean and everything, it'll all work okay. And that really is largely what I do. Also got some of the headquarters kind of slowed up as they're rebuilding units and preparing to throw them back into the line. So for the most part, the Allied offensives have stopped. The Brits, they don't want to sacrifice more men for no gain. When they were gaining ground, that's great. But at this point, they don't feel like they're going to get that. Now, of course, not too much longer before the German assault troops come into play. In fact, some of them are already here in the mountains. I don't want to make an attack with them because the first turn of an attack by assault units is very devastating. They could actually break large segments of the line or several different locations along the line at once, which feels a lot more effective than just piddling an attack here. After that first turn, they're no longer really like tanks. Well, they're not really like tanks. On the first turn, they just kind of negate the defensive benefits, even of trenches, etc. After that first turn, defense in depth becomes such a reality immediately, in a way that, like, yeah, it was already somewhat a situation, but it immediately, 4 days, defense in depth becomes such a proposal that you do not have that advantage anymore after one turn. And in fact, trenches become a significant barrier once again. The only thing that isn't is terrain. If you have enough assault units involved, enough assault strength points, which is only the points above the top of the normal 8-point unit. So a 12-5 has force assault strength points. If you have as many as the opponent has, then you can of the assault points as the opponent has defensive strength, then you can force the defender to retreat from non-trench hexes. This is nowhere near as effective as what tanks do. The first turn of the assault units is more effective, but the second turn and thereafter becomes much, much less effective at gaining ground. I'm not sure about how I agree with that. We'll see how it works out. They certainly work a lot better in La Grande Guerre, but this may be a more historical treatment of them. All right. And although the Allied assault has ended over here, in the Metz region, they launched a massive attack here. They got hosed. 11 losses for them, 19 for the 11 losses for the Germans, 19 for the French. That's not a good trade-off at all. This was really, again, one of those situations where I didn't realize how much the Germans had there and hit it anyway. You kind of say, well, geez, you're supposed to pay attention to these things. Yeah, I saw a big stack, but, once it was committed, I again said, let's attack. I really do want that hex. I want it badly because then I can start bombarding this with more effectiveness, perhaps, or punching through to the SAR or whatever. So in a sense, there's an attritional value. I just didn't realize how painful it was going to be and how bad this was. Didn't throw the tanks in this time. They were present, but they didn't fight the battle because they would take additional losses. But also, they don't really help in clear terrain. If you got a lot of tanks, they help, but they only really help with the trenches because in order to force a unit to retreat with tanks, you have to add the tanks in and match their overall strength. So there would have been multiple ways to retreat, but the easiest to force a retreat would be simply to hit half the total points. And I came close with 11. Only 3 more and it would have worked. But I don't think it was possible, actually. Now the French set themselves up busting into this hex using the mobile attack rolls for an assault on this. But when they started counting the odds, they said, no good. Instead, they moved up this way, which is in the direction they want to go anyway. This being drawn into the Vosges just didn't sound pleasant at all. And there was just a lone headquarters and some replacements here. They drove the replacements out, overran the headquarters. And they're really pushing into the area where the value is. The Germans have to do something about this. This is turning ugly to them. Well, the Germans made an attempt. They surrounded this space to attack it. Missed by 1 strength point in terms of damage, didn't drive it off, took more damage than they gave. I don't remember, something like 8 to 10 or something like that. And now it looks open. It looks like the French can do some really nasty stuff. First of all, this is no longer... no, it is protected now because it's back there. But yeah, this could spell the beginning of some real painful times for the Germans. Okay, and the French continue. Massive, massive attack. They only ended up doing 15 damage. It would have been 22 otherwise. But pretty much they wiped out the entire German stack either way, including artillery that was there. Pushed into here. They first did a mobile attack across here and then did a surrounded attack. There was no trench there anyway. By getting here, they gave up. They destroyed the river line advantage, and they really have rung the Germans' bell here. I don't know if the Germans can hold this line here. They're going to try to push out, I think, and try to contain somehow to try the Saar Valley from falling into French hands. That would be pretty major. The French, on the other hand, are pretty much out of supply. Not entirely. They still got enough. They could probably push another attack if there's something of value. The Germans, alternatively, might also be attacking this hex again. This is particularly weak, only 6 strength points, no defensive advantages, really. That could help tighten up their line a little bit. But it's really getting ugly, real ugly for the Germans in that front. Well, the worst deformity was pushed back by the Germans, but they still are in a risky position here. I don't know if the French can break through again up here or in this direction, or if they'll just take a pass. And the German front over here is just dissolving. The French retook their territory. The English, on the other hand, you might think, well, maybe they want to make one of their kind of low odds, high casualty attacks. They're having a hell of a time trying to get their front together, because now that they've chewed it up so much and gotten some advances, it's really hard for them to swap troops in and out the way they're used to doing, what they were doing when they could maintain their assaults. They're having a tough time. They want to send a landscaping crew in and fix this damaged terrain. Between that and the nightmare of all the stacks looking for pieces, because they have a much higher incidence of non-British units. The French have a few non-French units, and I just basically say fuck them. You know, if I can't recuperate them, I'll just deal with that. And you know, I've got like a replacement over here kicking around. I don't know. There's probably somebody hurt somewhere I could fix, but I can't fix these green guys, and it's green guys I need replacements for, and I don't think I have any of them. But even weak French units are pouring into here. I've got enough damaged French that I should be recuperating units, and I probably ought to stack some stuff to take advantage of that. Same could happen with the English, as a matter of fact. I've got damaged English units, damaged German units. Everything's knocked out of the battlefield. But I don't know. Sometimes it's hard work. The English are able to recuperate their weaker units and bring them back in. They've got enough pieces on the board as it stands, although if they take more of the front and push the French a little further, the French are kind of still stretched. We'll see. The tightening of the line helped both sides. It definitely helped the offensive side of the Allies, because they can now concentrate a full force attack. Of course, they're concentrating against stronger Germans in general over here, so it becomes unlikely to look good. But over here, they found the weak spot and they started hitting it. And, you know, okay, that's my fault. I could have spread out better. But I really didn't realize how weak this was going to be and how easily it would fall once the French could hit it with sustained effort. Anyway, we're at the end of the month, which means more supplies coming in. So the assault and this great offensive can continue for maybe another week or so. We'll see. But it is really ugly for the Germans right now.
Unmute, stop, and away we go. I'm going to get to turn this off. Okay, guys, so that was good. I'm actually going to show you one more thing, hopefully, because I didn't do any of the stuff for what the heck actually happened this week, but I did start doing this. So hold on here if I can find it. I'm going to pop it up, and then I'll share it with you. Oh, it may not. Hold on. I think I have to turn it. Oh, it is a window. Okay. So I think it doesn't like it when I, there we go. So I did do this. So at least it'll help eventually, because I'm starting to clue in. I haven't done the whole thing, obviously, but, and I haven't done an actual line, but I've popped in the dots. So all those dots here are the basically, so this side here is the German French, the German front line. This would be for here would be the British and the Belgian, and then all the way down would be the French. For the Second Battle of Artois in the Der Weltkrieg scenario for April 1915 or whatever. And I was thinking, wait a minute, it doesn't really seem to, as we know, the front doesn't move around much. So I was thinking, okay, if I could just connect the dots here, and then, we could use this from week to week, kind of thing. And that way I can go, okay, this happened here, or there was an aerial bombardment over there, and so on and so forth. I think that should help rather than me redoing whatever. I think that will help in the long run. So that's it. John Longshore says, although the tank scene in All Quiet on the Western Front does show their fear factor. Interesting that you mentioned that. I haven't watched that the new movie yet, John Longshore, but in one of my recommendations or whatever, because I typed in something like World War I movies, because I was like, okay, whatever, can I find some free movies to watch on YouTube? And one of the links or recommendations they gave me was how true our World War I movies are. And the neat thing was one of the people they interview or whatever. Darn it, I can't remember his name. He's the guy who did Fortress for Shemish. Dr. Alexander Watts. And I'm not positive on that. But they interview him, and neat that you mentioning about the scene there, the tank scene in All Quiet on the Western Front. I guess there were the French tanks are shooting or something. And he's like, no, the tanks would never stop. They can't. And you were talking about in your previous comments there, John Longshore, about them breaking down every 3 freaking seconds. And he was like, no, they would never stop to shoot. They would just keep going. He goes, the last thing that they'd want to do is stop the freaking tank. And he goes, especially how slow they moved and, how heavy they were. And so, John Longshore, when I saw a picture of that and when I was watching that lecture or whatever of a tank in the desert, a World War I tank in the desert, and from the stuff I've heard about, and we're not even talking World War II tanks. I mean, they got better, but I'm sure they were still hell and to be in. What the? Yeah, that must have just been an absolute nightmare. I'm sure, you would have been praying to God that your tank broke down so you could get the hell out of it. That's it. I'll leave you guys alone. Meandering Mike says a mobile tank is artillery fodder. Look, guys, I have to let you go or whatever, but you could probably know there's sometime I could talk for, I don't know about you guys as well. But I could go on from here to tomorrow, yabbering on about the stuff that you guys keep popping up here with the comments and in this and related to World War I. Like a mobile tank is artillery fodder. I'm starting to remember certain passages I was reading about with the infantry going behind the tanks and so happy that they were there and being able to crush the barbed wire and so on and so forth. And just also on the side note, I had no clue well, you guys probably do, how many flipping tanks they were producing at the end. I'm just like, what? It's just jaw dropping, like, hundreds upon hundreds, just pumping them out like there was no tomorrow. Same as all the planes. And oh my God, there's on a side note. I'm so glad. Thank you, Meandering Mike, for bringing it up, because it, brought me into this weird bit with watching the movie The Trench with Daniel Craig. So last night I'm watching a little bit of it, and they asked one guy to run like hell to go talk to the brigade commander, and it's pretty graphic. When they get there, they're getting shelled, and they're kind of shocked that the Germans, I guess, are doing it at this point at this time or whatever. And when he gets there, everybody's gone. But as he's running through, there's signs like Sector B or whatever, and the same font, the same coloring, the same everything is the exact same thing that they used in Aces of Valor for the Legion War Games. I was like, wow, that is so cool, because I've been watching Dad versus Sons playthrough of it, and he's got tons and tons of material on it, and I'm staring at his map, and it's gorgeous, and all the plays are just absolutely gorgeous, and it's neat the way they do that. You almost make it look like you're on a tabletop kind of thing while you're playing. Anyways, it looks really good. And I was like, holy cow, that's the exact same freaking font coloration and everything that's on the freaking Trench thing. I just thought, nice touch. So production value for that game is like, well done. Yeah, I'll leave you guys alone, because like I said, I could talk from here to tomorrow, but there's other things to do for everyone, and other live streams and so on and so forth. Anyways, thanks so much. As per flipping usual. I'll get on to it. Doing my other stuff. I've got the other. Well, here, I'll show you very quickly. Able to. There. Hold on. So there's the table, and lucky me, I did this there. So I can now. I've got something besides those cathedral candles or whatever the heck they are. Thing. So that's it. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Great week ahead. Get your get to game your brains out and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to a few of your guys' posts. Especially, I want to find out how the heck Charles Latora is insane. And also he was talking about trying to maybe the Orcs were going to start sending off their own little party. I was like, oh, cool. Anyways, that's it. John Longshore as well. Yep, thumbs up to you as well. Thank you guys so much. That's it. I'm off. See ya. Bye. Oh, don't forget about those movies that you can go and watch. I think one of them for sure free. Cool.